Cool.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Happy
football fans. Both of our Bird teams
That is
won
true.
pretty important games last night.
That's true. We were in the airport last night. Our plane was boarding as
Timeout.
the time was coming
Wait, time
down.
out.
Yeah, what?
What is a plane boarding?
Boarding. Okay. Our plane was boarding.
Sorry.
Our plane was boarding.
Sorry.
We were standing in a long airport line. And I'm watching and like the line's moving. I'm like, stop moving. Stop moving. It's the only time I've ever wanted a line in the airport to stop moving because I could tell what was happening was, so I didn't actually see the field goal. All I knew was that they were going to kick a field goal and there were like 20 seconds left in the game. And
so
then
was this still in Texas or was this
We were still in Texas. Yeah.
All right, that would make sense.
So,
you would be boarding in Philly. Yeah.
No, we weren't boarding in Philly. We were
Right.
Yeah. So anyways, missed the excitement, but
That's all right.
we were standing there. I looked at the TV. I was like, "Oh wow, this is exciting," which I don't usually feel excited about the Eagles.
It was a very exciting.
Yeah.
A very exciting time.
Yep. So anyways,
Though I will say, as exciting as that was, it wasn't as exciting as our time yesterday morning here in church.
that's probably true.
You know?
So sorry
You know?
to have missed it.
No, it's okay. I'm glad you get to spend that time with your family.
Yeah, it was good to be out in Texas, but as a result, I wasn't here yesterday morning, but I've heard great things. So we got to pray together. I'm bummed I missed that because that sounds like it was a really cool opportunity.
It was.
I just felt like we could extend our trip a little because I hear you talk enough during the week. I was like,
Ouch. Man.
Kidding.
No,
of course.
It's accurate.
But yeah, anyways, so if you don't mind, I know PACT is the acronym you used. What do those letters stand for?
So yesterday we went through that method of prayer where we start with praising
Okay.
God for who he is.
Yeah.
For just because he's worthy of praise. Really no other reasons necessary. We can come up with them, but
Yeah.
start with praise. Then we move to A, which is ask.
Okay.
Which I added the ask with bold faith part. There's a lot of passages in scripture where Jesus instructs us to do that exact thing, to ask with boldness, trusting that, our Heavenly Father who loves us hears us, who wants to hear us. We talked about that yesterday too. After the ask, we move to confess, which is an uncomfortable, difficult thing to do, especially
Yes, it is.
especially in the context of, if you weren't in service yesterday, we did that collectively together in the room with each other. It's one thing to silently confess. That's uncomfortable. That's hard. There's an internal admission of wrongdoing.
Yeah.
That's not fun. That's another thing to confess in earshot of another person, especially potentially a stranger,
Right.
or at least someone who's not, a confidant, a trusted individual.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to do. I think it's an important thing for us to practice, especially if we want to be the best representation of the church that we can be.
Right.
And by the church, I'm not talking about, our building. I mean the body of people who claim Jesus, who, claim a spot in the family of God.
Yeah. Big C church.
Right. I don't have to even make the joke here, but we've all got some kind of family issue, whether it's an ongoing one or one from the past. Like, we get it because we're part of a group of people, whether large or small, where brokenness exists.
Yep.
And sometimes we feel it on a day-to-day basis, and same thing is true when we gather together as a body of believers who love and worship Jesus, but who bring our baggage and our brokenness and our lack of perfection.
Yeah.
And so the act of confessing and acknowledging, I'm not perfect. God, I need you. I need your sustenance for sure, but I need your forgiveness also because I've missed the mark.
Yeah.
That's a difficult, this whole praying together like this is a challenging spiritual discipline, but confessing in that time of prayer.
Especially difficult.
Yeah.
It's safer when it stays in your head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And then the T in PACT stood for thanks. again, I mentioned this yesterday. We were just talking about this right now. There are other acronyms that we've heard at different times in our upbringing. One of the reasons I like this one is because I like the idea of ending in thanks.
Yeah.
I was just talking to, we've got some volunteers here who are decorating the church right now for Christmas season, and one of them was talking about how cool it was to spend a couple minutes focusing on the fact that God never wastes any opportunity or experience that we have, and that includes our suffering.
Right.
We were briefly talking about Thanksgiving, like the first Thanksgiving, and how the pilgrims and the natives came together, and many of us are familiar with the idea that the people native to this country were very keen on not wasting anything.
Right.
Being very resourceful with every single thing that they had access to.
Yeah.
Something that I know I struggle with. That's a common thing that many of us struggle with, is, not wasting.
Yeah.
God is the ultimate anti-waster, user of all things.
Yeah.
As the creator of all things, it kind of makes sense. But like every experience that we go through, whether one that we would call positive or negative, God is always working for our good, for ultimately his good. And that includes in the midst of our suffering. So the fact that time of thanksgiving in this PACT prayer comes after confession and asking, two things where, or two spiritual disciplines, I guess, where we acknowledge our inability to do something.
Yeah.
The asking is, I can't get this, so God help.
Right.
And the confessing is, God, I can't fix this. I can't save myself. Help.
Yeah. Just help.
Right. Just help. I love Peter's one prayer, like, Lord, save me. Which David said too, like, we just need him to save us.
Yep.
No, but that idea of thanking God, regardless of what it is that we're going through, regardless of what it is that we're feeling, we thank him because he never lets anything go to waste, never lets an opportunity slip by without providing a way for us to grow. Yes, sometimes our bullheadedness gets in the way, but that's not because God was not providing a way for us to grow and to understand something new, whether about ourselves or about him, about the world that he's created. PACT.
And I think hearing you describe those, I like it too, because I think they sort of get progressively more difficult as we go through in some ways. If you start with praise, like that's God's perfect, right? So relatively easy to tell him that. Like, It doesn't cost us anything to be like, God, you're perfect, because he is, and that doesn't have a lot to do with us. Asking gets a little bit more challenging because, again, it's an acknowledgement of like something I can't do for myself. And then the confession piece, difficult, because now I'm having to acknowledge that I'm broken. So not only are there things that I can't get for myself, but also there's things that, like you said, I can't fix about myself. But that one's commonly thought of as hard. Sometimes I think we almost feel like Thanksgiving is too easy. I know a lot of the times that I should be giving thanks, I just forget to, because a lot of the times that we think about like being thankful and needing to be thankful, things are going well because we have lots to be thankful for. And a lot of times when things are going well, I'm like, oh, cool, like I got this. This is great. It's when I'm in like the throes of the situations that I need to be confessing through and asking through that I'm more likely to be in prayer and in communion with God, because those are the times that it's obvious that I can't do it for myself. And in those times, obviously, we also need to be thankful. In those times, it's really challenging to be thankful as well. So there is sort of a kind of a growth of difficulty level there.
I like that. I totally see what you're talking about there. We talked about this real briefly yesterday, but since we're talking about it again now, I wanted to say too, another reason that I really love that acronym is because the act of prayer, just at all, is made possible because of God's covenantal relationship with us,
right?
Because of the pacts that God has made with us, which weren't made because we did something as a human race that deserved this like equal footing with the creator of the universe. Who's like, all right, cool, let's shake on this then. No, every single covenant is upheld by God and God alone. Which, if he so choose, he could break, because we're not worthy of being equal parts in many of these covenants.
We just straight up aren't equal parts in any of the covenants.
At all.
At
all. This is all just his grace and incredible mercy and forgiveness and love for us, which we don't deserve. But we get to experience through his covenantal love with us, through what Jesus came to do, which we watched as Jesus prayed through what he came to do, and that that helped him carry out the pact, the covenant that God had called him to do, as God man here on earth. Another great example for us to follow, like how Jesus used prayer as a tool to do what he was supposed to do.
And in remembering that, and in remembering like in having that word pact, which synonymous with covenant, which is usually what the word is that we use to describe the promises God's made us. Pact works also. So in remembering those, it gives us the thing to thank God for when we're not sure what to thank God for, right? Like when I don't know how to look around at my life and say thanks for any of the things, while ideally all of us should be able to find things around us to be thankful for, even in the midst of really hard times. When we don't know where to start, that's always an option. It's always a good place to start, because we're always held inside of that covenant. We're always held inside of that pact that God made.
That's right.
And upholds. It's really awesome.
Yes, indeed. Prayer is really awesome. I love that we just got to spend this month, taking this deeper look at prayer, because it's something that's so readily available to all of us, but it's something that I know I'm speaking for myself here. I'm sure many of you will feel the same, but like, it's so easy to forget this powerful weapon that we have. Or it's so easy to treat it like come up with whatever analogy you want, the vending machine kind of relationship, or the checklist kind of thing. But no, man, prayer is communication with the creator of the universe, made possible by Jesus and what he did, modeled by Jesus, copied by David's and Peter's and Paul's and Moses's, and we could go on and on. And hopefully copied by us.
And how timely is it to have that reminder of prayer and reminder of what kind of power we have access to through prayer as we go into the Advent season, where we're waiting for the birth of Christ, and we get to spend this time now like reflecting on what does it mean that Jesus is coming. Well, one of the things that it means that Jesus is coming and will be born and will live among us is that we can pray. And so as we shift from our series on prayer into our Christmas season and all of the Christmas excitement and fun that we have, we can remember we're doing all of this, we're anticipating the birth of Christ, and that connects us back to, we get to pray, and we get to include this in our Thanksgiving as we boldly approach God in prayer, because we just get to, which is awesome. Cool. Yep.
Super cool.
All right, cool. Good talk.
Thanks, Layna.
Thank you. Thank y'all. Have a good week.